Hi, everybody. It's Marie with the Life of Homeschooling, and I am so excited we are here with more history. And you know how much I love history. So, I have today, we're going to do a review on the curriculum that we have been using this year. It's A History of Us by Joy Hakim from Oxford University Press. And honestly, this is a fantastic history. So today we are actually going to do the first half. There's 11 books in the whole series. And today we are doing books 1 through 5 and also including the source and index book, which is phenomenal. It has all kinds of uh, writings and everything, publications from throughout history, like the Mayflower Compact, notes and writings from Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, um, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, all that kind of stuff is in here in short sections to go with each of what you read. So we actually honestly really loved this curriculum. The only downfall I would say to it is, well, there's two very, very small things. I don't really think it's that big of a deal, but she can get a little liberal. It's not a biblical worldview history course, but it is very accurate as far as what really happened. So, um, if you sit with your kids honestly and go over it and talk to them, it's not that big of a deal. Okay, so this is my thought on it. Whenever they go to college, they're going to be bombarded with that stuff. So if you're able to sit with them and help them communicate what truth is and how to weigh out the crap and take the good stuff, then they'll be able to do it in college. So I'm not the parent that's going to say, no, you can't ever, hear about that, because they will hear about it. And I don't want them to be, mm, let's see, what's the word? Arrogant. Um, Not knowing other things so that they can rightfully um, really testify and know why they believe what they believe and what is truth, and so they could talk to people about what they have learned in history. So anyway, side note, that's my thought on that. But this curriculum is really, really good. Honestly, guys, I love it. The first 5 books go from prehistory up until about 1860. And the reason that we decided to split it up into a 2-year program is it. I don't like to rush history, and I think that it's something that, if we don't know history, we'll repeat the mistakes. So I really wanted my kids to be able to really understand it and not rush through it and take their time on certain things, like the founding fathers and the colonies and the dates and all that kind of stuff. Plus, if you split it up, what our plan is for the first half, it's considered U.S. History 1, and then the second half, from about 1850 to present day time, is considered U.S. History 2. So our plan is to take the CLEP test or the CLEP. I think there's two. I say CLEP, but everybody says CLEP, and I don't know why. Anyway, so I we are going to do that to test out the U.S. History 1, and then the next year we're going to try for the U.S. History 2. So that'll help with college if they feel comfortable. If not, then it's not that big of a deal. They still got great history and they'll do good when they're in college. So yeah, whatever. So it really, really is good. There are you can get this curriculum on Amazon. And you can actually rent it on Amazon, which I thought was really cool. It's like 43 bucks or something on with Amazon Prime with free shipping to rent it, so you don't have to buy it. Or you can buy it used. I think it starts at like 90 bucks, and I think I saw it for brand new at like 106. I'm pretty sure. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some links for you guys right to Amazon, to where you can go and look if you're interested in it. So you'll have that for both rental and for buying. Also, the way we got it was through Sonlight. We bought it with our full grade package through Sonlight this last year. So that's how we got it. I think through Sonlight it's like 160 just for the 11 book set. So it's a little more expensive. I wish I'd have known that, but whatever. Can't do anything about it. So anyway, it's really, really good. It's really in depth. It does a great job of it's like you're in a time machine. And I mean, who doesn't love time machines? That's like every kid's fantasy, is to be able to go back in time to the dinosaurs and stuff. So it's really, really cool. She takes you on a journey as a teenager and like 10 years old up until teenage years, through history. And she actually talks about getting in the time machine and going throughout. And it's just really, really good foundational base of where our country came from and the culture that we came from in the countries and everything. So it's great. Um, this is something that I found separately that I love, and I personally think everybody should do it. It's Joy Hakim again. It's the History of Us assessment book. And this I got off of Amazon. I will put that link for you guys too if you want that. But what it does is it teaches critical thinking about history. So instead of it being kind of laid out flat, kind of easy to understand, because sometimes, questions just ask you what you already know, this really makes kids think and really decipher and pick out what they learned. And what they didn't, instead of being really easy like this one. It's multiple choice, and then it has answers in the very back for what you do for the answer to the study guide, and it has, see there, so, and it has, for each book is numbered, and then it has different quizzes, and it tells you which chapters to read for the different quizzes, so you don't have to have an instructor's guide to do this if you have the assessment guide, which I thought was awesome. So and it also, if you're having trouble with college transcripts, or you're wondering what to name it and everything, this book actually, for the different book and the different chapters, it breaks it down. It names the books, so you know that, and it actually gives very creative names that'll look great on college transcripts. Like book 8 is The Age of Extremes, and like chapters 26 through 31, they named it The Progressive Spirit, and the one before that is Writers and Reformers. So it helps name a lot of those categories, and for your college transcripts to really stand out. So I think this is a great resource, and it's great. And honestly, I love this curriculum so much that I'm not selling it. We are keeping it, even after my kids are done, because it's really that good. So, my daughter is doing it right now, and she just is finishing up book 5. And my son will do it. She's doing it for 9th and 10th grade, and my son will do it for 8th and 9th grade, is how we're working it with them. So, but if you do order from Sonlight, you get all of the literature and extra books to read with it. Honestly, we didn't read all of them. There were some of them that were so dry and like, oh my gosh, I can't read this anymore. We skipped some of them. Um, I think that learning should be fun too, and instead of, I don't know, dry and boring, because they're not going to get anything out of it. Anyway, that's how my kids work. So, but there are a few that we thought were very, very good. And if you do just get the book set, these are the ones that I personally would suggest you getting extra for literature books. And this one goes with the first, I believe it's the first 2 books, and it's called Before Columbus. And it's beautiful illustrations, honestly. It's the Americas from 1491 and on. And let me get some really cool pictures here for you guys. Hold on. I mean, it talks about maize and how that's corn, and the Incas and the Aztecs. I mean, how beautiful are those pictures? It really is fantastic. So you can use this as added reading that goes along with it, or you could read through the book and then read through this during the summer to kind of reiterate what they learned and to help them stay on track. So anyway, this is a great book. Oh, the second thing that I thought was kind of a bummer, and some of you may not care about this. We personally is kind of, they go with an old Earth, especially at the beginning. They go with an old Earth for the age of the Earth and when everybody came from and what time and stuff like that. We personally are young Earth. We believe in a young Earth. So, but that wasn't a big deal. I just talked to the kids about it and they didn't really care. So another one, and this is honestly, there's two of them that were absolutely my favorite, and I can't decide which one. So this I just thought was one of the coolest books ever, and it's so easy to read. But I mean, you have to read this seriously. It's called We're Writing the Constitution, and it is so cool. It's a super easy read. I mean, you can read it in a matter of 20 minutes, half an hour maybe, or so. But at the very, it talks about all of the signers that got together and did the Constitution, and the history behind it from being the Federalists into everything and all of the signers and where they came from and what they did with their time and things that I never knew in history that really put the gaps together. Like, I never knew Benjamin Franklin was old. I always thought of him as a young person, but he was in his 80s and like um, he hurt so bad that he couldn't walk anywhere. So they signed the Declaration right next to the uh, right next to the jail, and he had four jail men that were in jail carry him on a Chinese those carts that the Chinese emperors would go on, and people carry him on their shoulders. That's how he was carried back and forth because it hurt for him to ride a horse, stuff like that. I didn't know that. I thought that was really cool, and he was a character, and apparently he talked a lot, like me. And they actually followed him around to parties to keep him quiet, and they would have to change the subject because he was just a talker, would just talk about everything. Anyway, this is a great book. It really puts character to the founding fathers. Fantastic. It talks about the very first 4th of July in detail. And then at the very end, it has the Constitution and the Declaration. It even has the colonies, um, the first states, and what their names were, and who was from where, from what signers. So I actually, honestly, I was laughing so hard whenever I read this, and I still read it. Don't judge. So the second one that is my favorite, and I really can't choose between the two. This one you have to read this. Oh my gosh, you have to. It's called Amos Fortune Freeman. And holy cow, this one's from the 1700s, and it's a true story about Amos Fortune, who was a captive and brought over here as a slave from his hometown in Africa or country in Africa, and he was a prince, and he was brought over as a teenager. I think he was 15. Um, he was one of a few hundred, and he was the only one that survived. And about him, I can't tell you anymore because it is one of the best books. Like, my daughter could not put it down. She even said, she was like, Mom, now I know what type of a man I want to marry. I want to marry a man that has that kind of honor and that type of love and such a tender heart. It really shows what a true man will do with honor, and to treat his wife and to treat other people, and what he's willing to give up for himself. I mean, just fantastic. I cried. I mean, I just cried and cried. I will read this one over and over again. This is staying with us. This one's not going anywhere either. So this one is kind of an example of some of the literature books that you can get with it. It's called Traitor, the Case for Benedict Arnold. And it's kind of a dry read. It was a little hard to get through, but it honestly had some really, really good, like, it related the type of things that they went through, the type of terrain they had to hike over, and the character of people throughout history, like Benjamin Franklin and or not Benjamin, I'm sorry, Benedict Arnold and all them, and like he had a shoe fetish. I didn't know that. I thought that was really cool. It really helps kids remember the people and everything. So that was kind of a dry read, but I think really, really good to read. Brings everything to light for the kids. One that we're about ready to start. We haven't read this one yet, but this one has such beautiful pictures, and these are real pictures. It's called The Boys' War. And I mean, this is the Civil War. And I mean, look at those photographs. I mean, these are real photographs. It's just such beautifully illustrated. I mean, it's just great. And as you can see, it's a fairly easy read. So with the books are, 2 and 3 and 4 chapters at a time for Joy Hakim's books. So whenever you read the other books, they're not a super super hard book, but they're still challenging enough. You can read this through 6th grade and everything, but it's good enough for a high school history course, honestly, and it's more than any kids would get outside of this course. So I think it's really great. And then if you order through Sonlight too, you also, if that's what you chose to do, and I'll put that link down there for you guys too. Um, you get a timeline book, and the thing I like about this is you get it whenever they're younger, and you put all history from whenever they start in it. But my kids are artists, so they draw, so that's how their timeline goes. But it helps them keep track of everything. And you can do this after each individual thing and just have them write down the dates that they knew. What I personally did is I would do it at the end of the week and kind of recap what they learned from the week. So anyway, like I said, it's a really great curriculum, and it's something that we're keeping. So I say thumbs up to the history of us. And so yeah, let me know if you guys have used it, what you think, what also that you use for American history. And I guess we'll talk to you guys later. Remember, you're awesome. See you later. Bye.